Listen, there have been a lot of multiverse projects coming out right now, so I don't know if Hollywood is trying to tell us something or what, but I have a little theory when it comes to this franchise and where I think it's going. I personally do like the first one more than the second one, but if my theory serves to be correct, then things are about to get a lot more fast and furious. Let me explain. So if you haven't seen the first one, we have a whole video on it, and it's actually kind of special because that would be the first sequel LME we've done after covering the first one. Pretty much the second one starts as if you've already seen the first one, and it puts Ryan in the loop not realizing that it's his science experiment that started it all. Even worse is when he realizes that it's also caused these time shifts where there are two of him, and the other one is actually the babyface killer looking to be the one who survives that specific timeline. So yeah, it's already completely way different than the first. Now I'm telling you right off the bat, the sequels to this movie are going to get crazy. Like if the first one was pitched as Groundhog Day but as a horror, the second one was literally pitched by the director as Back to the Future 2 but as a horror. So if the third one ends up being like Terminator or Cartoon Network's Time Squad but as a Blumhouse horror, again, things are going to get wild. Granted, this one does slightly pull a Hangover Deja too, because after they realize what Ryan's going through with his loophole, they try to trigger the machine again, and it just goes back to the first movie where Tree is reliving the same day over and over again. Now, this completely kind of throws away a lot of the theories people had for the first one, even what the main character had for the first one, it being a personal cosmic connection with her mom that thus makes the lesson she learned more personal. Well, that's completely gone. Turns out it's just a Dexter's Laboratory fluke. I don't know how the reactor randomly captured Tree in the loop of all people, since she didn't even know about it or was even close to it from what I remember, but Desmond Hume also forgot to press a button and you saw what happened there. The twist this time around is that they're Spider-Versing it. While she is reliving the same day, it is also an alternate reality where she's not dating Carter, she's not cheating with the professor, where this guy has a mortgage but is still pretending to be a college student, and also one where the mom is still alive. Now, there is a comedic side to it where Tree has to channel her inside Hannah Baker because in order for these three to remember the algorithms for progress, even though they're getting restarted every day, Tree has to limitless it in her memory and then goes on a suicide binge as she restarts her own day in order to remind them. So she falls out of a plane in a bikini, Fargos herself, pulls a Gwen Stacy, only to realize that the killer this time around is the professor and his wife? That's kind of interesting. See, the original ending to the first one had Tree coming out of her Death Day loop, everyone thinking that she's safe, only for the professor's wife to poison her, showing her that what comes around goes around. Test audiences hated that, and so the director had to pull it, but interestingly enough, pulled his own time loop as well and found a way to incorporate it into the sequel. Now, obviously it's fiction, so not everything in the movie makes sense, but yo, they completely ignored the butterfly aspect to it. Like for starters, if the mom is still alive, wouldn't that mean that Tree has a completely different upbringing and would be making completely different decisions, maybe even end up in a completely different college? Would she have found herself in the same dorm room since one little change would have created a completely different outcome? Didn't the setup of Ryan facing his doppelganger mean that she would have had to face her own as well, but never did? And I'm bringing these things up mainly because I don't see them as nitpicks, but as something that was the literal theme of the movie. They hit you with those themes of not living in the past, and the big one which was, the past is what makes you, so embrace it or else you'd be a completely different person. But let's be honest, she's still kind of the same. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the specific themes they bring up in the movie, and I think the best scene is hands down the moment with the mom. Like, not only was it a heartbreaking scene, but Jessica, not Tree, the actress herself, performed that scene like she was actually saying bye to her own mama, and it turns out she actually really went there. So that idea of having to make the tough choice of leaving your mom behind in order to return to your actual timeline that made you you, I thought was stupid. Bruh, at no point in the movie did that plan make any sense to me. Let me explain. So you're telling me that because Tree didn't share the new memories with her mom since she didn't pass, that because she didn't share those memories, she felt like a stranger to her and would rather go back to the timeline where her mom is dead? Pretending to have been there with your mom, not having your mom at all. Yeah, I'm acting. Then there's the idea that she's going back for Carter, which, let's keep it 100. Carter's known her for like a day, and even in this timeline, he's still taking care of her, he's still stuck with your crazy self, which shows you he's easy to swoop up again, and like you even caught his girl cheating. Also, you're no longer cheating in this timeline. Pretty much everything is better for you in this timeline. Again, the themes that they touch upon are cute. I just dare anyone to try to convince me why she couldn't just stay here and get the best of both worlds. Even if you hit me with the morality of it. I mean, it's her life, so as long as she's screwing anyone over. But also my Fast and Furious theory. While she does go back to her normal timeline by the end of the movie, they end up showing you this after credits scene where DARPA, an actual agency, takes a hold of their time machine and wants to use it for things. It ends on the joke that Danielle gets stuck in the loop, but I'm telling you right now that they're about to become freaking secret agents. Like, Tree already has the algorithms memorized and knows the loopholes. These guys are the ones who created it, so they need to be used. This guy doesn't have any franchises, so I'm sure he's available. So if they pull a Fast 5 and go from a small time loop thriller of a movie to Happy Death Year 8 where they're time travel agents, then this series, like I said, is gonna be crazy. Imagine the Cloverfield movies and how they play with genres with each installment. Imagine the Furious movies and how they're completely different with number 9 by now. So if this franchise gets to the point where they're traveling back in time and manipulating timelines, then girl, you're gonna wish you stayed in this one. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Like I said, it's one of those where I feel that in a couple of years, I truly believe this, we're going to be looking back and Blumhouse is going to have their Fast and Furious version of a franchise. Something that started off really small becomes this crazy, wacky thing. I'm excited for it because I remember when people hated the Fast and Furious franchise, like the first one got buzz and then it really dwindled out and then it revigorated. Yo, imagine if The Rock ends up in a Happy Death Day movie. Then my theory is 100% correct. But I believe that's where it's going to get. I like one more than the second one, and again, it's just the second one not only felt repetitive, which I guess is kind of the point, but it really did kind of feel when you look at it kind of dumb with the decisions they're making, because you could have just stayed there, especially if they do end up making these crazy decisions that I'm talking about. But curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. There was another thing to note. One of the things that I like doing with the outros is picking up some of the behind the scenes or the reception to these movies, but there was a Parkland scenario going on with this movie in particular, where parents from one of the victims from Parkland pretty much reached out to Universal Studios. They like had him on the line and told them that because of the anniversary being on the 14th and this movie's marketing being all around Valentine's Day, they asked them to move it up a day, and they did. And the good thing about the story that I'll cover was that they kind of pulled a Slender Man, where if you remember, Slender Man wasn't promoted in Wisconsin, in the particular town where the incidents happened, and pretty much Universal took all of the advertisement away from Parkland. I don't know how that works for TV, but pretty much any posters or billboards that was taken away so no one would feel bad about it. But my big thing that I'm trying to say here is that they're making, not the biggest deal, but how the Universal execs went out of their way to push the movie forward to the 13th so that it wouldn't be shown on the 14th in respect of this family. But yo, can I keep it 100? Yo, this movie was gonna come out the 13th anyway. That way on Valentine's Day it was already showing. Like, isn't it romantic, Alita? They came out on the 13th too. Like, I don't feel like it's as novel as they made it out to be. But I'm curious to know your thoughts about it. Do you think movies should be shifted because of a real life scenario that happened? Are you for it? Are you against it? Small things like that. Things that I feel are gonna become a big deal. That's why I'm bringing it up here, because with all the crazy conversations that we have, and I'm dragging out this outro, but with all the crazy conversations that we have about how movies and genres and things get received, yo, release dates, I feel by the end of 2019 are going to be a big thing people are complaining about. Should a movie about something be released on President's Day or Martin Luther King Day? I'm telling you, I'm calling it right now. You ain't got to loop back to this time loop. I'm telling you that's going to be a thing that we're going to deal with. However, I'm curious to know your thoughts about this movie. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Are you excited for the third one? Your theories about it? All of that down below in the comment section. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or you'll be stuck living this day in a loop.